with Mondays all over again. TGIF. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us.
My name's Roland Sands. I am a motorcycle builder, designer. Generally kind of stoked to bring things in my head to reality. That's what it is all about, bringing an idea to life. I mean, there's no more complete circle than that. That's the challenge, you know. I was around motorcycles, I mean, since I can remember, really. It's kind of been in my blood. When I was 18, I was like a drug addiction, man. Nothing else in my life really mattered a whole lot. It was like, I'm gonna go out and ride and race and try and win. So that's what I did for about 10 years. And I didn't know I was going to be a national champion, and I didn't know that I'd end up winning national road races and breaking track records and racing at the highest level. I really wanted to go and make something of myself that didn't really have to do with anybody else, because I knew that no one would be able to take that away from me, you know. Pushing myself seems kind of like a way of life. Every time I was on a bike, I'd push, and I'd always push past the limit, and now I really get the majority of my satisfaction from creation. I don't know, some people call me one of the top builders, I guess I am, but what's different is in this realm of building motorcycles, it's not about being the best as much as it's about just creating and wanting to build new stuff and cool stuff. To constantly innovate is the challenge, always doing something new and different. And today it's so tough because there's so many people building really great things, it's hard to stand out, you know? So you gotta constantly push. creating something, it is about bringing something to life. A motorcycle to me is like the personification of that, because it like involves so many different things. It involves art, fabrication, design, engineering, rubber, steel, aluminum, titanium, paint, wood, whatever you can throw at it. So motorcycles are to me like the finest display of bringing an idea to life, making it real, making something you can actually touch, feel, and ride. That's what it's all about. Being on a bike for me is just essential to life. It's the purest expression of freedom and mobility. The faster you go, the harder you ride, the harder you push, you feel it so much more on a motorcycle. If you're going 100 miles an hour, you know it. It's draining physically, but also mentally, because you put so much focus into it. When you're on a bike, it strips everything else away. It just makes anything else in your life disappear. I'll never be away from bikes. It's just what I do, what my family does, what everyone I know does, so safe to say I'll be around for a little while. I don't see any other way for me personally but to just go after it every day. It just makes sense to me, so that's what I do. Life is one big project, and you gotta hit it every day. My name's Roland Sands. I am a motorcycle builder, designer. Generally kind of stoked to bring things in my head to reality. That's what it is all about, bringing an idea to life. I mean, there's no more complete circle than that.
Velocity TV. Also, Jeff Strom, who is the director of The Great Race. Don't know what The Great Race is? Well, Google it, and you'll find out. It's an annual event, and the original Great Race started in New York and ended, get this, in Paris, France. That's right, Paris, France. You need to Google that for sure. So we'll open the phones, 888 Car Clinic, 888-227-2546. Jen will take your call, put you in the queue, and I will put you on the air. This segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part by O'Reilly Auto Parts, where you'll get guaranteed low prices every day on the parts that you need. O'Reilly Auto Parts has the parts you need every day, and as I said, guaranteed low prices. They'll actually match any local auto parts store price on any like item. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better parts, better prices every day. Also brought to you in part by K&N, the original performance filter of NASCAR, and the original performance filter of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Back with your calls, 888 Car Clinic. Likis, you'll love us. This mailbag is brought to you by K&N, the world's best air filter. Daryl from Oklahoma writes, always hear you talking about K&N air filters, so I thought I'd get one for my Chevy pickup. When I went to the parts store, I saw a couple of other reusable filters in addition to the K&N. What makes K&N better than the others? Daryl, good question. A few other cleanable, reusable filters might be available for your Chevy truck, but only K&N has been around for 45 years, has a state-of-the-art filtration efficiency lab, and produces about 2.5 million filters a year. The K&N filters are made specifically for each application. For example, filters for a gas engine pickup are different than those for the diesel version. Different media and layers. Gas motors are typically 4-layered, and diesels are 6. Drive to knfilters.com, take a virtual tour, and find all the reasons why K&N is the world's best air filter. That's knfilters.com.
O'Reilly. Sign up to become an O'Reilly O Rewards member today and start earning instantly. O Rewards members earn $5 back for every $150 they spend, so if you haven't become a member yet, what are you waiting for? It's fast, easy, and free. O Rewards, it's your road to exclusive offers only at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Take your driving experience to the max with Passport Max from Escort, the first radar detector with HD radar performance. Equipped with unique Escort features like Auto Learn and the Defender database, Passport Max delivers quicker response time, greater sensitivity, and more accurate signal recognition. Take ticket protection to the max with Passport Max and enjoy social networking for the road with Escort Live compatibility. Learn more at escortradar.com. Escort. Drive smarter.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
It straddles the line between timeless classic and modern luxury.
The grape tomato.
The ruby red in a sea of greens. The muse behind the great chef. Boyardee.
Beefaroni, mi amore.
Oh, tomato. Are you fruit? Are you vegetable?
What is identity?
Groceries, essentials, signature value.
The Everyday Collection by Target.
Hey, Todd. Where's our sub?
Oh, Samantha. I've already given my sub to Sally.
What? Sally?
Hey, Samantha.
How could you?
I got a phone call. Todd.
Men.
This is Todd.
Get your own steak and bacon melt with mountains of juicy steak and melty cheese. Subway Steak Melts. Subway. Eat fresh.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome again to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you join us. Jen will take your calls and put you in the queue, and I will put you on the air. I want to reach out to KNSI 1450 AM in St. Cloud, Minnesota, Bob Lighton and Bob Hughes, General Manager and Program Director there on the Car Clinic affiliate in St. Cloud, Minnesota, KNSI 1450 AM. So if you'd like to give us a call from that area, again, the number is 888-CAR Clinic, 888-227-2546. I want to share with you some exciting information that's really kind of neat. The Great Race is an annual event, and I learned of this race several years ago. In fact, 6 or 8, 10 years ago. Met a couple of gentlemen that were running that race. The director of the race is Jeff Strom. I've spoken to him this week. And here's a race that originally started, and there was a movie. They made a movie, The Great Race. So if you have a chance, just Google it. It's been a while since that race came out. In Daytona, they consider the Daytona 500 the Great Race because it is indeed a great race. But this is a different kind of race. This race has 100 classic cars that compete in a 9-day race that starts in Maine this morning. In fact, some 13 minutes ago, the race started in Maine and ends next Saturday, actually next Sunday, at the Villages in South Florida. And yours truly, at the end of next Saturday's show, we'll be driving down to the Villages to cover the final lap, the They go from state to state, and I say 100 classic cars. And these are 1912 Packards and Bugattis, and the rules are, as I understand, 1969 and older. And I started to say younger, but 1969 and older cars are the only cars that can compete. And there are fees that you pay. But the bottom line is, just imagine this, an automobile that has mechanical brakes. Maybe it's a 1908 flex fuel Model T. That's right. America's first flex fuel car was Henry Ford's Model T. So here you are, you're leaving Maine in a Model T. Maybe it's a Roadster. Maybe it's a 32 Ford Roadster. And it can be original or it can be otherwise. But here's the bottom line. Well, I think it can be otherwise. I stand corrected. I've never entered the race, but I know that the logo says that you drive, repair, and drive. Repeat. Drive, repair, repeat. So you drive a car, and imagine, what if it rains? Well, you just put the goggles on, and you just drive. And there are certain checkpoints that if you're a participant, you have to meet those. But we're going to get some more information a little later in today's program. We're going to have Jeff to join us, either from the highway or in the car, or from Maine, the starting city there in Maine to start with. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and that's going to be at 45 after the hour. That will be the second hour of today's broadcast. So just mark your calendars, mark your watch for 11:45 Eastern Time today. You'll want to hear Jeff Strom and also Wayne Carini. And I've actually watched Wayne. I never met him or talked with him, but we'll be doing that today live as they call in from. And Wayne is the host of Chasing Classic Cars on Velocity Channel television. So that's going to be an interesting, from Maine to Florida, the Great Race, and it's an annual event. Starts today and then runs through the 28th. How's your car running? Is it doing well? Could you participate in a great race? Now think about this. Now the race is not like who can go there fastest. Let's say that you're going from Atlanta to Nebraska, and you were going to stop. You have to stop and buy gas, sure. But what if you have to stop at checkpoints along the way? And obviously, and I'd really love to know how they do this. Someone had to have taken the route from Maine to the villages in Florida to understand and know at what checkpoint and how long it would take to get to each checkpoint. And each of those cars, kind of like a pub run, if you will, pub crawl, each of those cars has to meet that deadline. So that's fine. Let's just say you average 60 miles an hour, and you're going down whatever road that you're on, and you go 100 miles, and but you have a flat tire. And so that's 15, 20 minutes. Let's just say you're really fast and you can change it in 12 minutes. You're still 12 minutes behind. So you speed up, and if you speed up and you you enter the next or reach the next destination early, then you're I think penalized, or you don't get the right points. And I'm not sure how it works, but we're gonna find out a little later in the race. So I just thought I would mention that to you. I think it's very interesting. Again, Jen will take your call at 888-227-2546. Let's see what else. Oh, sweepstakes. Yeah, I want to remind you about this, and I keep forgetting. Actually, it's a little housework here. Don't forget about the brand new Car Clinic Sweepstakes, Bobby's Big Ass Sweepstakes. That's Bobby's Big Gas Sweepstakes. And the prizes include a $500 gas card from yours truly, and a $250 Visa card from the Renewable Fuels Association, our partner sponsors at the Ethanol Association. That's Renewable Fuels in Washington, D.C. A royal purple leather lambskin jacket from, well, royal purple, of course, and it's a beautiful jacket. I happen to have one. And a Passport Max radar laser detector from our friends at Escort. and that's a $550 value. So you've got $550 worth of Escort, $250 Visa card, a leather lambskin jacket that I don't know what the jacket's worth. It's worth a lot to me, more than dollars really, and the $500 gas card. And no, you can't win them all, but you can win one of those. And all you have to do is go to carclinicsweepstakes.com and enter now so that you'll have your name. And folks, when we first rolled out this sweepstakes, we said, okay, you go there once and you put your name in. Then we said, well, that really, where's the leg up? Then it'd be a crapshoot, right? Just luck. And if you ever won anything, I don't know that I have. If I have, it wasn't significant enough that I remember. But anyway, you can go to carclinicsweepstakes.com and you answer a question like, what color is royal purple oil? And you answer the question and put it in your email and what have you. And these are not shared, by the way. We don't share these emails. They are only for our company's use and for the network's use. The Car Clinic Network's use. And you can answer one question and your name is in the hat once, or there are 7 questions on the site at carclinicsweepstakes.com, and you can answer all 7. Your name is in the hat 7 times. Actually, you could go back 7 times over the course of a week, and your name would be in the hat 49 times. So I just wanted you to know there's really no limit. And you could write scripts. Yeah, you could do this. You could write scripts. Well, almost. You could write scripts and then have your computer just go there and enter a million times. The problem with that is we change those questions around. The team, the Car Clinic Network team, changes the questions around in order. So there's, because I'm sure there's some way that somebody could figure out to beat the odds there, as there is. I mean, that's what we're all about, right? We're American. We beat those odds, Also, our friends at Escorts has a little summer event. It's a 2014 drive into the summer, an upgrade to one of Escort's 4 Passport Max limited editions, and you save $49.95. You choose a free accessory up to a $34.95 value with the purchase of a detector. You register to win $1,000. Hey, $1,000 in summer drive cash. Double your entry with any detector purchase. Free shipping, and the rules are on their site on any radar detector order, and give the gift of a ticket protection to your loved one or yourself. It's okay to love oneself, especially if you've got a drive coming up. Drive to escortradar.com for more information and to participate. Again, that's from our friends at Escort Radar and Ron Jividen. They're a great team there. Ron has come down before and joined me side by side here in the studio. And he's really a neat individual, knows more about radar band and bandwidth. And there's one word that I can never remember, but the bottom line with Escort's HD high definition, they took and they used the NASA screening, and they can screen sounds so they can pinpoint radar detector. Back with your calls at 888 Car Clinic. Call in. I'm Bobby Likis with today's Fact or Friction. Brought to you by Royal Purple, the performance lubricants that outperform. Fact or Friction. All mileage driven is the same. Friction. The quality of miles driven affects vehicles differently than the quantity. Mile for mile, vehicles driven on frequent short trips experience wear much differently and more severely than vehicles commuting for longer periods and distances. Why? Short drives don't allow vehicles to warm to full operating temperature, which is critical for vaporizing condensation that naturally occurs in engines. So, if you drive a few miles each day, your vehicle's more at risk than those who drive longer distances to work. To combat effects of condensation in oil, choose high-quality synthetic Royal Purple motor oil with its advanced Centerlic additive package. When choosing oil for your vehicle, consider Royal Purple. Visit royalpurple.com, then pick up Royal Purple high-performance motor oil at Pep Boys.
Oh, 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 O'Reilly.
Sign up to become an O'Reilly O Rewards member today and start earning instantly. O Rewards members earn $5 back for every $150 they spend, so if you haven't become a member yet, what are you waiting for? It's fast, easy, and free. O Rewards, it's your road to exclusive offers only at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
The right cleaning agents, like the right tools for a job, are key to success, and CRC has the right cleaners. Choose CRC Electromotive, an aggressive cleaner that dissolves grease, oil, and wax without removing parts for electric motors, transformers, and machinery. Pick up CRC QD Electronic Cleaner, an alcohol-based precision cleaner for sensitive parts like circuits, computer components, and electronics. Drive to crcindustries.com for more automotive service solutions.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
When we play a game together, I probably won't say,
Thanks for making me the focus of all your attention and energy.
I'll just give you a hug when I get a triple word score in Scrabble.
Or do a little dance as I make my first million in the game of life.
And I may not say, hey, this means a lot to me.
I may not say it, but you'll know.
Parker Brothers and Milton Bradley invite you to plan a family game night for your family tonight. Everybody who plays wins.
Mom, Dad, thanks for playing.
We'll be back with more music, but first a look at weather. Here's meteorologist Tom Sparks.
Thanks, Chad. There's a front moving in from the south, which is going to mix with warm air, giving us the distinct possibility for showers over the next few days. In fact, some of them are going to be big soakers, let me tell you. However, if you're planning any outdoor activities for the weekend, I have good news.
So it's going to be clear?
No, I just saved a bunch of money on car insurance by switching to Geico.
See what you could save. Call 1-800-947-AUTO. Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% on car insurance. And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And folks, welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you join us on today's broadcast. I mentioned earlier we had a special guest, and he's with me now on the phone, James Bell. That's right, he's been with us before. He's head of consumer affairs for General Motors. James, welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Oh, it's always a pleasure, Bobby. Thanks for having me back.
Well, you're just a wealth of information there with what's going on at GM. Let's talk about the car buying experience. We talk about cars and different models and segments and those sorts of things, but I want to shift gears and really go into the car buying experience. Share with our Car Clinic listeners and viewers GM's new program where you take the buying process online. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. It's called Shop Click Drive. It can be found at shopclickdrive.com. And the premise being really kind of dragging the car business out of neutral gear where it's maybe been stuck for the last 50 years or so. You know, when you think about how people buy their car insurance, how they buy their travel, how they buy their entertainment, their music, you name it, it's so much is done online now, especially amongst younger buyers. And so the idea of being able to do everything about the car buying process, really kind of clearing some of the smoke away, and doing it from the comfort of your own home, sitting in your, in your pajamas at your kitchen table rather than in a dealership where some people find the high-pressure tactics to be a little off-putting. We just think it's a great way to, to keep people engaged in the car buying process and do it in a way that, as I say, they're already very accustomed to doing so many other purchases online.
Okay. On the Shop Click Drive, take us through a scenario. Yeah. I'm at home, I'm taking it easy, and I'm thinking about a new Acadia. I go to, is it shopclickdrive.com?
Yep. You go to shopclickdrive.com.
Okay.
You then plug in your zip code, which will then connect you with local dealers in your area. So you've referenced looking at the GMC Acadia. So you'll find a GMC dealer in your area, and you'll then get access in a real-time way to that dealer's inventory. So maybe you're looking for the gunmetal gray Acadia. Well, sure enough, there's one there available and is on the showroom floor. Maybe you're looking one with a black leather interior. Well, he may not have black leather, but he's got a different color. You can have a look at that. But if you're really focused on getting the black leather, you can then look at other dealers' inventory in your same area, find the vehicle you want. Then once you secure the vehicle, you then get into the pricing process. And the dealers that are on this program with us, they've committed to doing very aggressive and fair pricing. But what we find is people who, enjoy and look forward to the convenience, if you will, of being able to do all these things online from home, they're more than willing to leave, couple $100 on the table. It's not about trying to squeeze out that last dollar in the deal, because the value, if you will, of this new car buying process is so rewarding. But so you're able to then secure a good, fair price for your vehicle, select that, and then financing options are even available to you. So you can go through the different permutations. Maybe a lease is a better idea for you, or you're one of those people that keeps the car till the wheels fall off. So you can look at some different financing rates and secure the financing. And now, theoretically, you could then arrange with the dealer to have the vehicle delivered to you, and somebody come along with a pen and the papers and sign the documents for the vehicle right there at the same kitchen table you've done your research. But what we're finding is vast majority of the people who are using our service thus far, they take it right up to that line. They'll go through and find the vehicle, find the pricing, find the financing, but then still go to the dealership to do that all-important test drive and sign the documents and drive the vehicle home.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. So they can also determine if they have a trade-in, they can also determine the fair trade value of the car that they drive.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. That's right. We work with some of the different vehicle pricing index to have you plug in the information about your trade-in vehicle. That obviously number that we are going to quote on Shop Click Drive is not guaranteed, because we need to see the vehicle to make sure it meets condition requirements and so forth. It's a good ballpark idea, and it really makes a big difference when you're looking at your actual financing, to be able to say, okay, I've got a vehicle that is going to be worth, let's say, at least $5,000 on my trade-in. Then I can plug that value into my financing to get a sense of what my new payments are going to be.
Do I interact with a dealer online?
Yeah, you're actually connected with the local dealer. In fact, this program is something we've partnered with. We didn't really want to publicize this until we had about 1,000 dealers in the program, so about a quarter of our dealers around the country. In the 6 or 7 weeks since we decided, or after we got the 1,000, we've already gone well over 1,400 now. So it's really starting to kick in. And in fact, we just got our last state. We've got a dealer in Hawaii that's on the program as well. So yes, you're actually doing the transaction with the dealer. You're not doing it with General Motors. It's just that General Motors is facilitating the communication.
Got it. We're talking with James Bell, General Motors Head of Consumer Affairs. James, would you say the online tool caters to a younger buyer?
Absolutely. You know, the idea of going into a dealership and basically throwing their arms in the air and saying, tell me what I need to know, is completely foreign to a younger buyer who grown up going online to buy their next plane ticket, or going online to get music and so forth. The idea of doing any purchase without a bunch of online research just does not compute. And so, we're very proud and expect great things from having this service in regards to younger buyers. And we know that other manufacturers are watching very closely. You know, it's always been this kind of balancing act between what the manufacturer offers versus what the franchise dealer network can offer. And we think this is a great way to showing the partnership, because ultimately it's about selling cars. And dealers that are on the program, they're telling their other dealer friends, hey, this is a way to do this, because you're basically getting customers who are coming in saying, well, I've already done the research. I already know what I'm going to pay. I already know I want the car. Get it in my driveway, and that's it.
I got to tell you, James, that sounds to me like this is really good for the buyer, and it sounds to me like the dealers will come around. You've got 1,000 now, you've got 1,400. Do you think the dealer experience is still an important part of the buying process today and in the future?
I think so, because ultimately, it is a people business. So, and that's why I think we're seeing such a small minority of people using this service to actually have delivery of the vehicle done to their home and never visiting the dealership. I think that there's still that sense of, I want to get into the dealership. I want to make sure I know where it is. I want to make sure that it looks like it's successful. Ultimately, I'm going to be taking it back there for my service, my warranty work. So you want to have that relationship established, as well as the test drive. It makes me crazy, Bobby, when I think about people who take a little 2-minute test drive around the block from the dealership and make such an important decision based off of that. I still think it's valuable to get in there, to sit in the car, to make sure that, it's a comfortable place to be, and drive the vehicle the way you're going to actually use it. If you're going to be doing a lot of freeway driving, well, do your test drive on the freeway. If you're doing a lot of stop and go and you want to see how good those brakes are, well, then go out onto a busy boulevard somewhere and really test it that way. So it is a people business. There is that sense of wanting to connect with the dealership, but if you can do, the parts that many people find to be a little bit more uncomfortable and do that from the comfort of their home, then it's a real great combination.
I couldn't agree more. Hats off. I think this is a great program. James Bell from GM Consumer Affairs. James, always great to have you on the show, and it sounds like this is going to be not only a future, it sounds like this is something that's working today and even going to take off and grow in the future.
Well, it's funny. I was talking to somebody about this the other day, and they said, "Oh, this is like the way of the future." And I said, "Well, no. It's the way of today."
Yes.
It's just that the car business is catching up.
Yes. And again, folks, Shop, Click, Drive. That's shopclickdrive.com. James Bell. James, always great to have you on Car Clinic.
Thanks, Bobby. I really appreciate that.
That's pretty cool. Shop, Click, Drive. Shop, Click, Drive. In fact, when I learned that James was going to be joining us again this morning, yesterday, in fact, Wednesday of this week, I went to Shop, Click, Drive, and on my local, along the Gulf Coast, there was Pete Moore Chevrolet, and there are a couple of dealers in our town, in our city, and several along the Gulf Coast. But Pete Moore Chevrolet was one of those that popped up, and of the 4,000 plus Chevy stores that are participating in the Shop, Click, Drive, Pete Moore is the one that is local for us. So I think that's a good. I don't know what do you think about that? I think it's really neat to be able to, as you've heard, that from the ease of your kitchen table, you can just thumb through and see what the inventory, what's local inventory, and if you find a car that you want, you say, well, I think I want that. What's the price? But I think it's going to be interesting, though, folks, to see how the trade-in value, and that's where the real, in my mind, that's where the real question would be: what's your trade-in worth? And you got to know if your trade-in is a pretty well used up car. I mean, why else would you get rid of it? And if it's a good car, why wouldn't you give it, down the line to your son or daughter or another relative? But there are a lot of times where if you don't have someone else that hand-me-down, then and sometimes that's really not always the best thing to do, because if there's a problem with the car, you might feel responsible or feel like you owe someone, because you never know what's going to break next on an automobile. How about your car? What shape is your car in? Let me hear from you at 888 Car Clinic, and let's talk about your car. And we'll talk about the items of your vehicle that cost you the most money that you could have maybe steered away from. We created, and I'm sure you've heard me talk about this on the broadcast network, we created pre-repair, which stands for the prevention of repair. And actually, you say, well, it's a great service. You can actually prevent repair. Yes, you can. Definitely. And we'll see a car, let's say a car that comes in with a power steering rack that's leaking, and that's a $700 to a $1,200 repair. And even with a reman rack, you put a rack on there, and we use some remans, mostly new. And you say, well, what could I have done anything? Could I, as the owner, have done anything? And the bottom line is, yes, you could change the fluid, but you won't see that in your owner's manual. You will not see power steering fluid changes anywhere in any owner's manual that I've ever seen. And you say, well, so Bobby, why would you change it? Well, because at 100,000 miles or 75 or 125,000, the seals let go in the rack. And another very important part about power steering fluid is that you need to know is that the system doesn't have a filter on it. Power steering systems do not use filters, and on those particular makes, models, and years, and specifically the years where the manufacturer put a filter on a power steering, nobody changed the fluid, so at 50, 60, 70,000 miles, the filter restricted, and there was no bypass on the filter. Well, why put a bypass? Because if you put a bypass, it gets stopped up, and then it opens the floodgates, and all that crap gets through the system immediately. So all that stuff circulates all the time. It's like heaven forbid, cancer hits your body and it metastasizes, it spreads through the whole body. Well, that's the way the materials and little metal particles do in all power steering systems. So the bottom line, change it. Bottom line, call me, 888-227-2546. I'm Bobby Likis with today's Drive Smarter tip, brought to you by Escort, the world's best radar and laser detectors. Seasoned criminals, bad weather, and ants at an autumn picnic. All threats we'd rather avoid. But these pale in comparison to the #1 menace of Americans aged 6 to 33, car crashes. Because crashes are predicted to involve 42,000 in the U.S. this year, an en route accident may be the biggest menace between you and the apple dunking contest. To avoid becoming a victim of this threat, with rates higher than crime and cost over $230 billion, watch your speed. Make it clear that everyone who's riding will buckle up and that no one who's intoxicated will drive. Though you can't do much about a rained-out picnic, it'd be a crime to let a preventable crash keep you from the next one. This Drive Smarter tip is brought to you by Escort. Don't just drive, drive smarter. Escort. To choose the best radar or laser detector for you, drive to escortradar.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
This is Tom.
What's up?
Sitting in his cubicle.
Actually, it's called a workstation.
Whatever. Tom is slowly dying in his workstation.
I mean, aren't we all dying, really, if you think about it?
Let's not get philosophical, Tom. Just go to careerbliss.com. Follow companies that you find. Apply to openings right online. Check salaries and read reviews. Score a career that's perfect for you.
I feel alive!
Choose happy. careerbliss.com.
I'm your blind spot. And my job is easy. Hide big things. You're good. And if you named your own price on car insurance, you could be paying for this yourself. So get Allstate. You can save money and be better protected from mayhem. Like me.
Dollar for dollar. Nobody protects you from mayhem like Allstate agents.
And now for the bonus round. If Rome wasn't built in a day, how long did it take?
3 business days. Oh, plus 1 Saturday.
Correct. Oh. A good man is hard to find. Why?
Because he's so small.
Correct. Netflix delivers movies by mail, and now what other way?
Directly to your TV.
Correct! Netflix now delivers movies 2 ways, instantly to your TV, plus DVDs by mail. Watch as many TV episodes and movies as you want for only $9 a month. Netflix! See terms of use.
It's Practical Poly Radio. I've switched to cooking with healthier oils. So now what do I do with all these tubs of lard? Skinny jeans feeling too tight? A bit of lard on your hips and thighs and those pants slide on like a dream. So there's no need for that lard to go to waste. But get your best heart-healthy trade-up with healthier oils, like canola, olive, or other vegetable oils, which can actually lower your chances for heart disease. Learn more at heart.org/facethefats. Canola Info is the national supporter of the American Heart Association's Face the Fats campaign.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic, brought to you in part by Escort and Escort Live. It's social networking for the road. I'll get that right in a minute. Just enabling your smartphone, that's what it's all about, to share alerts, that alarms from potential radars with other Escort scouts on the road. For more information, drive to escortradar.com and you can learn all about that. I've got one in my car. It works like a charm. I mentioned earlier in today's broadcast the Great Race, and I really it's really neat. It starts in Ogunquit or Ogunquit. I don't know how they pronounce it. In Maine. It starts in Maine. Yeah, there you go. This morning, 10 o'clock. There you go. And then it goes to Vermont, New Hampshire, New York, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Oregon. No, it's not Oregon. Elizabeth City, North Carolina, and then several others. I won't give you the whole list of cities, but I've got some of them here in front of me. But the bottom line, from Maine to Florida, and then next week it ends at the Villages, finishing on Canal Street in Lake Sumter Landing. That's going to be really interesting. And I will be driving down after next week's broadcast, and you want to tune in to next week's broadcast because we'll also have some interesting folks to join us. As we are a little later in today's program, Wayne Carini, host of Chasing Classic Cars on Velocity TV. Be interested to ask how, when we get him on the air, we'll ask how he got started in the classic cars. And I already know the answer. Well, I don't know the answer. I already assumed the answer. And, I assumed that he just is a car guy like I, and he loves classic cars. And you got to love that profession because, I would imagine that the biggest thrill would be finding that old classic car covered up in a barn somewhere that has very few miles on it, and it's all filthy, and and actually the dirt that's on it is so thick that it protects the paint underneath, and that's actually true. I would imagine that you could put a car. I remember they stored a Plymouth, and I think it was in Missouri. They buried a Plymouth and put it in 50 years ago, and they put it in a little tomb. And so they dug it up, and as best I remember, the challenge was when they dug it up that water had seeped in to the tomb. So when they pulled this brand new Belvedere Plymouth, as I remember, if you folks remember that, you can call me 888 Car Clinic 888-227-2546. And when they brought that car up, it was like totally ruined, but and they're expecting to see like a car off the showroom floor, but obviously they didn't hermetically seal that vehicle as you would think, and so as a result, water seeped in, and then with water, mud seeped in, and it was a huge mess when they pulled it up. But nonetheless, it was a new car at one time. Of course, all of our cars are new at one time. If you miss a part of this program, I just want to remind you, you can get social with me. We are live right now at watchbobbylive.com, courtesy of YouTube and Google. So our YouTube channel, that's youtube.com/Bobby Likis. You can go to facebook.com/Bobby Likis. That's Likis. Twitter, Pinterest, and Tumblr. And the Tumblr is a new social media outlet for us, a place where we can make comments, and you can make your comments and ask questions if you like. And it's actually BobbyLikisCarClinic.tumblr, TUMBLR.com. Seems like a lot of typing to me, but that's the social. And you can, as I said, watch me live at youtube.com/Bobby Likis. That's Likis. Now in full screen, true HD, folks, 100% ad-free, and with the ability to wind, rewind, pause, and add me on Google Plus straight from my YouTube channel. So I invite you to do so. 888-227-2546. Weekly retail gas prices. $3.67. That's up 6 cents from a year ago. Don't you think it's really odd how we look at the gas prices? And I do this every week. I don't always share the gas prices with you if they're about the same. But when you think about it, 6 seconds up, there's in the Midwest, there are 2 cents down. I said 6 seconds. I meant 6 cents. Thanks, Ted. So Ted is sitting in today as our producer for Tony. No, Tony's not out of house. He's right nearby just in case something happened to my microphone. You think that's funny?
We never let that happen, Bobby.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, well, great to have you in the seat there, Ted. You're doing a great job. In the Rocky Mountain area, the gas prices are down about 15 cents. However, on the West Coast, they're up more than 10 cents. And on a national average, they're up 6 cents to the penny. $3.68.6, and that's the retail gasoline price of regular grade, dollars per gallon, including all taxes. And I did have a sheet. I don't have it anymore. that gave the tax structure for individual states. And I don't know if you know this or not, but I think New York was number one. They obviously penalize you for owning or driving a car in New York, but I'm sure that the taxis, or 25,000 taxis in the city, pay the taxes as well. It's 62 cents, as I remember, and this is some time back, a couple of years ago, as I remember, maybe, but 62 cents a gallon tax. And there's only one other state or city, the state really, that matches that, and that would be in California. Of course, California matches or leads the industry in almost everything that's over the top, if you know what I mean. So it really is very, very interesting. I want to share with you some information about the EcoCar 2 vehicles. And EcoCar 2, they run on high blends of biodiesel and high blends of ethanol, and that fuel dominated this year, the third year of EcoCar 2. That's a competition that is sponsored by the Department of Energy and General Motors that challenged, and get this folks, 15 college teams to reduce fuel consumption, greenhouse gas emissions, and tailpipe emissions. However, the cars had to provide consumers with an acceptable vehicle to drive. So these aren't like go-karts with a little engine so they could get a lot of gas mileage and win the competition that way. But the fuel that was used predominantly was E15, that's 85% ethanol and 15% gasoline, biodiesel. And a team from, get this, Ohio State University was the overall winner. Engineering a 2013, well, they re-engineer. They don't just engineer. They took a 13 Malibu with energy storage, electric drive, and an E85 engine, and they achieved 50 miles per gallon gas equivalent while using a 315 watt per hour per mile of electricity. That's 315 watt hours. So they use electric drive and a gasoline motor, and they achieved, using a 2013 Malibu. This is off the showroom floor. It was off of, it wasn't a specially prepared car by General Motors. This is the team from Ohio State University that actually modified this vehicle, and they were the overall winner of this year's EcoCar 2, and that's EcoCar and the number 2. So when you get a chance, you can go to EcoCar 2 and take a look at that. I just found it really interesting, and if it were at my nickel, I would have used, and I'm not sure that they did not do this, I would have used a diesel engine, use a biodiesel fuel, but I would have used a diesel engine for my nickel to provide the power, because you get tons of watt of hours of use and miles per gallon out of diesel engines. We all know that. So you could use a small diesel engine, like a little pony motor, and drive that generator that drives the juice that runs the battery that drives the car. Let's go to Carl in Nevada, who has a comment on a recent call. Carl, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Hello, Bobby.
Hey, good morning.
Not too bad. Last 24 diesel.
Yes.
His fuel pump problem.
Yes.
If you go back and check with the 93, some of those older trucks had 93 engines in them. And the 93 engine had a curve in the fuel pump rod.
You are absolutely right on the money, and Carl, thank you. After we received that call, we had two other calls. It was toward the last of the program, and that gentleman, I think his name was Larry, as I remember. Jan, was that? Do you remember that? Was it Larry who had the problem?
I think so.
I think it was. Yeah, he had a 2004 diesel and he had a fuel pump, the lift pump that went out, and his pump was curved, and he went to O'Reilly Auto Parts and bought the right pump, which wasn't right. He bought the right pump for his car, but it turns out, his truck, as you said, Carl, his 94 truck had a 93 International engine in it, even though, and this is really strange, the VIN code, Carl, said that his engine, because then after he went to O'Reilly Auto Parts, he went to the dealer and said, well, it must be an aftermarket glitch. And he went to the dealer and bought a pump from the dealer. It also was wrong. And the dealer checked and said, no, this is right according to the 8th digit of your VIN code, which is the size of the engine. We use that same digit when we order parts. In fact, when somebody calls in and said, what's it going to take to fix my car? What's your serial number of your car, VIN number? Well, it's a 2007 Pontiac, Buick. What do you need that for? And that's so you get the right engine in this case. And this happens. In fact, I've had it happen to me now that I think of it. And Carl, in this case, as you said, it was this gentleman's 2004 Ford F-250 had a 94 had a 93 International engine in it. So, folks, that just, and for me, I'll share this with you. I had originally a 97 Town and Country van. Was my first Town and Country. In fact, I really liked it, and I bought a 2001 because it had all the sliding doors and the key fob and automatics, electronics, and that's my hot button. And the 97 vehicle that I had came out when we used our ALLDATA. You've heard me talk about ALLDATA for years. We used our ALLDATA database, and I was looking for TSBs, and that way I could be proactive. I could find a problem that might exist on my car, my van, that I wasn't aware. So when I looked online and looked into our 97 Town and Country database, it had an engine balancing problem. And that engine balancing problem called for, and get this, and all you tech guys, you'll get a kick out of this. You remove the oil pan, you turn the engine to top dead center, turn it back 35 degrees, and on crank number 1 journal, you drill a hole with a 1/2-inch drill bit that is 3/8 of an inch thick, or and I'm not sure of the exact numbers. And then you make sure you got all the metal out because you got the oil pan off, and then that helps to balance the engine, and that's something that either they forgot to do or just they learned after the fact. But here's the bottom line. That was with 96 engines. My van was a 97, but as it turned out, my 97 had a 96 engine, and my 97 did have a vibration. And here's a little known fact that probably even a lot of you race car drivers or technicians don't know. The speed at which a crankshaft is turned during engine balancing is a maximum of 1,500 RPM. And if you're going to overbalance an engine, and that's for engines that turn a lot of RPM, you still only turn that engine on the balancing jig 1,500 RPM. And the reason for that is that anything more, because the crankshaft is really resting on 2 sets of rollers, so it's just freewheeling, and you have a rubber belt that drives it with all of the bob weights attached. Any higher RPM will cause the crank to flex, and your balancing job can't be correct. So when you balance an engine, it's at below 1,500 RPM as you see it spinning in front of you with all these bob weights. It's really very interesting. And then you balance that engine after you weigh all the reciprocating parts, and you take 50% of that weight, and all the rotating parts, you take 100% of that weight, and you add it all, and you measure the grams, and you attach the bob weights so that the crankshaft thinks that it has all of its parts attached to it, and that's the way you balance it. Very interesting. Hey, more Bobby Likis Car Clinic coming up, another hour, and we're going to have Wayne Carini from The Great Race joining us. Tune in after the top of the hour to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. I'll be back.
Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
Fortune 500 companies choose Royal Purple lubricants to protect and improve the performance of their multi-million-dollar equipment. The same high-performance technology is also available for your car, truck, motorcycle, boat, or ATV. Royal Purple enhances performance and provides superior protection for anything wrapped in metal. Royal Purple is the performance oil that outperforms. For independent tests and endorsements that document Royal Purple benefits, go to royalpurple.com. That's royalpurple.com.
I'm Bobby Likis, calling all technicians with 20 facts about ethanol. According to economic research firm Cardno Intrix, the ethanol industry added $42.4 billion to the U.S.'s gross domestic product. And the production of 13.9 billion gallons of ethanol supported 90,200 direct jobs and over 311,000 indirect jobs across this country. I'm Bobby Likis with 20 facts about ethanol, brought to you by the Renewable Fuels Association.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Well, spank my bottom and call me polyethylene. I'm recyclable. Hi, Tom Bodette for Motel 6. In the spirit of conservation, this commercial uses 100% recycled words. Yep, just like water bottles or cans of garbanzo beans. I've used all 160-odd words in this commercial before to describe Motel 6, like clean, comfortable, and lowest price of any national chain. That was a whole six-pack I just recycled there. I figure why make new words when those work just fine? So I can tell you what a great value Motel 6 always has been and still is without contributing to a verbal landfill or increasing my jargon footprint. I see it as doing our part to conserve our precious verbal resources, and that feels pretty good. Almost as good as saving money. I bet this will sound familiar too. I'm Tom Bodette for Motel 6, and we'll leave the light on for you. Book online at motel6.com.
I was around motorcycles, I mean, since I can remember, really. It's kind of been in my blood. When I was 18, it was like a drug addiction, man. Nothing else in my life really mattered a whole lot. It was like, I'm gonna go out and ride and race and try and win. So that's what I did for about 10 years. And I didn't know I was going to be a national champion, and I didn't know that I'd end up winning national road races and breaking track records and racing at the highest level. I really wanted to go and make something of myself that didn't really have to do with anybody else, because I knew that no one would be able to take that away from me, you know? Pushing myself seems kind of like a way of life. Every time I was on a bike, I'd push, and I'd always push past the limit, and now I really get the majority of my satisfaction from creation. I don't know, some people call me one of the top builders, I guess I am, but what's different is in this realm of building motorcycles, it's not about being the best as much as it's about just creating and wanting to build new stuff and cool stuff. To constantly innovate is the challenge, always doing something new and different. And today it's so tough because there's so many people building really great things, it's hard to stand out, you know? So you gotta constantly push. creating something, it is about bringing something to life. A motorcycle to me is like the personification of that because it like involves so many different things. It involves art, fabrication, design, engineering, rubber, steel, aluminum, titanium, paint, wood, whatever you can throw at it. So motorcycles are to me like the finest display of bringing an idea to life, making it real, making something you can actually touch, feel, and ride. That's what it's all about. Being on a bike for me is just essential to life. It's the purest expression of freedom and mobility. The faster you go, the harder you ride, the harder you push. You feel it so much more on a motorcycle. If you're going 100 miles an hour, you know it. It's draining physically, but also mentally, because you put so much focus into it. When you're on a bike, it strips everything else away. It just makes anything else in your life disappear. I'll never be away from bikes. It's just what I do, what my family does, what everyone I know does, so safe to say I'll be around for a little while. I don't see any other way for me personally but to just go after it every day. It just makes sense to me, so that's what I do. Life is one big project. You gotta hit it every day. My name's Roland Sands. I am a motorcycle builder, designer. Generally kind of stoked to bring things in my head to reality. That's what it is all about, bringing an idea to life. I mean, there's no more complete circle than that. That's the challenge, you know.
Call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And thank you, Marty White. Welcome to this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you are a regular listener, stick around because we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to be talking with Wayne Carini, who is leaving Maine today, along with many other participants, more than 100 cars that are going from Maine to the villages in South Florida called the Great Race. And if you're not familiar with the Great Race, there was a movie made of the Great Race. You can Google it, and we'll ask Wayne and also Jeff Strom for information as to a little more of what that entails. But it entails a lot of old cars. In fact, the youngest the car, one of the entrants could be is a 1969. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I'll take your calls at 888 Car Clinic. Jan will put you in the queue, and I'll put you on the air, and we'll talk cars. And we'll also, I'll remind you after the open that we're going to give away one of the the AC Pro products on next week's program. This segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part by AC Pro, and if your car's air conditioner is not blowing cold enough for you, you can bring back the cold in under 10 minutes with a do-it-yourself AC Pro kit. Go to acprocold.com to find the nearest store near you. Okay, folks, get ready. 888-227-2546. That's 227-2546 when I come back. How can you improve battery performance? Power Frame Grid Technology, a more advanced kind of positive grid technology designed to combat the common causes of premature battery failure. Power Frame Grid technology is formed from a single sheet of precisely rolled and stamped metal. This patented manufacturing process makes the battery more resistant to corrosion. Look for the Power Frame logo on the outside of your next battery. It means true strength on the inside. Visit powerframe.com to find a retailer near you.
If your car's air conditioning isn't blowing cold air,
it isn't,
then you need an AC Pro.
Is there one around here?
Yeah, you.
Me? But I can't.
New do-it-yourself AC Pro is the 10-minute cold air solution. It's fast, easy, and saves you money. With AC Pro, you'll have cold air blowing again in just minutes.
Wow, it's freezing in here, and I did it myself.
See? You are an AC Pro.
Yes, I am.
New AC Pro, the 10-minute do-it-yourself auto AC cold air solution.
I'm Bobby Likis with today's Fact or Friction. Brought to you by Royal Purple, the performance lubricants that outperform. Fact or Friction. Hot rods and modified engines are optimized with the exact same oil as regular engines. Friction. High-performance modified engines crave extra oil oomph, and since these engines are by nature changed from the original production engines, they fall outside the requirements from automakers to maintain API, or American Petroleum Institute standards for warranty coverage. Without the API restrictions, these modified engines can enjoy the benefits of fortified performance oils like Royal Purple's HPS, or high-performance street motor oil with Centerlink technology. Benefits include impressive oxidation stability, superior corrosion protection, improved performance, and exceptionally high film strength for dramatic reduction in engine wear. When choosing oil for your vehicle, consider Royal Purple. Visit royalpurple.com and pick up Royal Purple at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
First rule of business: hard work equals success. That's why Geico is consistently rated excellent or better in terms of financial strength. Second rule: don't steal a co-worker's egg salad, especially if it's marked the gecko. Come on, people. Geico's the third largest car insurance company in the nation. But it's not like we're kicking back now having a cup of tea. Takes a lot of sweat to become that big. Of course, geckos don't literally sweat. It's just not our thing. But I do work hard, mind you.
Home. It's the place you like to make warm and inviting. What could be more welcoming than the aroma of fresh coffee brewing? When the coffee is Starbucks, the experience only gets richer. You'll find Starbucks coffee at your grocery store so you can enjoy it at home. Its distinctive roasting style and rich, authentic taste show how seriously we pursue the art of coffee. Savor its aroma, then pour a cup and invite your senses to take flight. Starbucks coffee at your grocery store.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Okay, let's get started with this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. This segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you by Power Frame Grid Technology. Batteries may all look the same from the outside, but it's what's inside that really matters. Get a battery with a technology to be stronger and more dependable. Look for the Power Frame logo. Learn more at powerframe.com. Okay, one of the things that I enjoy about this program is that I get a chance to talk about almost anything that I would like to talk about. And then I invite you to call in and I share information with you, and I share my 43 years of automotive experience with you, one call at a time. And you know, sometimes you have a question, but you may feel like, well, that's a dumb question. You know, let me just share this with you. The only dumb question, car question, is the one not asked. So when you go to a service shop, you need to have buzzwords. Buzzwords are internal terms that we use, as technicians and as automotive shop owners, new car dealers, independents, doesn't matter. There's just certain, and they're not code words, they're just the jargon. And so I'll share with you the jargon. I'll share with you buzzwords so that when you do have a particular problem, and it's one of those erratic events that maybe every third Tuesday, if it's raining, your car doesn't work really well. It runs poorly. And it runs, like Attila the Hun for you, and then you go to a shop and it runs like Miss Manners. Well, I'll tell you, those are the kind of drive you crazy and drive us crazy in the business. Because why is it that a car that, doesn't work well for you when you take it to a shop works well? And it's just circumstances. And if you think about it, a lot of that has to do with how long you have been driving the car before it gave you problems, or how short the time span that the car was giving you problems. And I'll give an example. You crank the car up in the morning, you back out of the driveway, you put it in gear, and it goes dead. And then, or you back out of the driveway, put it in gear, go to the corner and stop, and it goes dead. And it does that for a week, and then it's okay for a couple of days. Then it continues. So you take it into a service shop and you say, hey, my car dies. It just, all of a sudden it just dies. Well, do you know when? Well, not really, because you don't really put two and two together that it's during the warm-up phase, because it's just not something that you would think of. And that warm-up phase, folks, doesn't mean if it's in North Dakota and it's 0 degrees, or it's in California and it's 60 degrees, that it means warm-up means from an overnight stand. See, there's a buzzword I didn't even think about, but there's a buzzword. It's overnight stand. In fact, the computer on your car, I'll think about Terry Elm now, our lead ASE master technician that talks about reprogramming cars so much. The overnight stand is what's important so that the engine has cooled down to ambient temperature throughout, because the computer learns RPM, driver demand, engine temp, ambient temp, all the environmental temperatures that go under the hood and not so under the hood. I mean, normal environmental temperatures, even the inside temperature of the automobile, all that information is stored and captured and goes into the computer, and the computer tunes the engine as you drive, shifts the transmission as you drive. In fact, I drove my car to work this morning, if you call this work. I drove my car using the dynamic mode for the transmission, engine tune, and suspension. And the dynamic mode turns my dashboard red, where it's normally sort of a white or light blue. Turns it red and puts it into a dynamic mode for a high-performance driving. And I didn't do that to high-performance drive. I wanted to compare from the get-go, from the time I fired the car, backed it out of the driveway in the garage, till I got to the studio this morning. I wanted to see what it felt like and if it truly was totally different, and it is. Now, what I learned is that I would love to have the dynamic mode, and I'd love to cherry pick what I want versus the whole package. And the package includes a stiffer ride. It includes, because it changes the shock dampening, it includes more responsive timing and fuel curve for the engine so that it's more high performance, and it includes later shift points for the transmission and more powerful shifting. So if I could cherry pick, I would want all the above minus the ride, because the car has a stiff enough ride without really stiffing it up for the dynamic ride. So I would like to be able to go into that. So Terry, if you're listening, we want to jailbreak that software in my car and separate those parameters out, separate those functions, those options out. No, we can't do that, because that's that all works together. The ride, the drive, the engine performance, and the shift pattern. In other words, what I'm telling you folks is that there's a chip in my car, and there's a chip in your car. If you have the dynamic ride where you can push a button, there's a chip in the car where you don't have to buy a chip, from like Super Chips, as one of the companies that I've bought chips from before. there's not really a chip in the car. It's just a different program. So you've got one program, it's like having programs on your computer. You could have 100 programs, and some cars have. In fact, my car probably has more than 75 black boxes on board. Really, really interesting. I want to reach out to the Outer Banks, North Carolina. Surf 98.5 FM. If you tuned in, Joe Hartman, General Manager, let me hear from you at 888-227-2546. SURF, Surf 98.5 FM in the Outer Banks, North Carolina, one of our Car Clinic family of affiliates. I mentioned AC Pro. This segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you by AC Pro, the 10-minute auto AC cold air solution. Go to acprocold.com for the store nearest you. I also mentioned that we have a giveaway. Well, that's true. Next week, they have a great giveaway for all of you who tuned in, or one of you who wins. It's now on next Saturday's program. One lucky listener will win an AC Pro prize pack, including an AC Pro golf shirt, a golf shirt, beverage koozies, and an AC Pro hat. And the AC Pro, as I said, is the 10-minute do-it-yourself cold air solution. You can go to AC Pro Cold to learn everything that you need to know, including the video of AC Pro as well. And also coming up, I see in hold now, I don't have time to put him on the air. I'll put you on the air at 888 Car Clinic, 888-227-2546. Bobby Elks from AC Pro Cold. I have some particular questions that I'm going to be asking him. And Bobby is the trainer for IDQ. And IDQ, I won't go into the acronym except to tell you that IDQ Corporation actually owns the AC Pro brand. So Bobby Elks is going to be joining us soon. One of the things that I do want to remind you, and if I haven't shared with you this morning, gas prices again. I did in the first hour, but I want to share those of you who just tuned in. $3.68 national on gas prices, $3.99. Listen to this. This is really something. $3.99 and 9 cents. So, I mean, why isn't it $4? I mean, 3.999.
Same way you buy a car for $39.99.
$39.95. Yeah. You know, $19.95 is that less than 20?
Absolutely, it's 5 cents less than 20.
Hmm.
But the tax
I don't know, Tony.
Could be for tax reasons,
work.
you know, because taxes bump it up over there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, anyway, with gas prices, $3.99. So if you get $10 and 40, if you get 10 gallons, you know, and $40 comes up on the screen, you'll know that the machine is wrong. You know, when you buy gas. Anyway, that's your weekly gas. I'll take your calls. Jan will, of course, not me, but she'll take your calls at 888-227-2546. Shifting gears. I wonder if there's any gears in the live wire. I wonder if anyone knows what a live wire is. And you know what I'll do? Just for fun, we'll find out who the live wire person who knows what live wire is. Now, there's a lot of uses for live wire, but this particular live wire that I have in mind, folks, and let me give you the numbers: 888-227-2546. 888 Car Clinic. The live wire that I'm thinking of has 2 wheels. 2 wheels, and probably doesn't make a lot of noise. So let me hear from you as to if you know what I'm referring to when I say live wire. This is not something you can go down to the corner and buy. In fact, it's not something that you can buy, period. But I would love to hear from you at 888-227-2546. And Bobby, thank you for holding. We're going to come back and get you on the air. I'm Bobby Likis, calling all technicians with 20 facts about ethanol. The Department of Agriculture determined ethanol's energy balance to be 1.7 to 2.3. That's to say, today's ethanol production yields nearly twice as much energy as it took to create. Also, in 2011, ethanol use reduced tailpipe CO2 equivalent emissions by 25.3 metric tons. I'm Bobby Likis with 20 facts about ethanol, brought to you by the Renewable Fuels Association.
Fortune 500 companies choose Royal Purple lubricants to protect and improve the performance of their multi-million-dollar equipment. The same high-performance technology is also available for your car, truck, motorcycle, boat, or ATV. Royal Purple enhances performance and provides superior protection for anything wrapped in metal. Royal Purple is the performance oil that outperforms. For independent tests and endorsements that document Royal Purple benefits, go to royalpurple.com. That's royalpurple.com.
I'm Bobby Likis with today's Engine Care Spotlight, brought to you by CRC Industries. Where is it? My car used to have it, but now it's all but gone. I'm talking about power. If your vehicle is sluggish, losing MPG, and suffering power and performance loss, could be due to carbon deposit buildup throughout the fuel system. So shock your dirty fuel system with CRC's one-tank Power Renew and reclaim the power, performance, and MPG you've been missing. In fact, test results show up to 97% power recovery, up to 5.7% bump in miles per gallon, 99% injector flow improvement, and cleaner emissions. Best of all, one-tank Power Renew, the most powerful fuel system cleaner on the market, guarantees results with just one use and lasts 4,000 miles. One-tank Power Renew is available at Advance Auto Parts, AutoZone, Pep Boys, and Napa Auto Parts stores. Visit crc1tank.com for a $5 rebate.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Live from Progressive. Flo here. Today we're talking to newlyweds.
Hi, my husband and I are combining our policies, and my mother-in-law says we can save with Progressive.
Well, with online, homeowners, and multi-car discounts, saving on car insurance is easy.
So you're saying she's right?
I'm saying get used to it.
Get great savings and more at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Mayfield Village, Ohio. Discounts not available in all states. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Every year there are over 20 million car wrecks in this country. It's not pretty. But people bang out the dents, rebuild them, and resell them to, well, maybe you, bucko. If you're buying a used car, it's a crapshoot. Get a vehicle history report from Carfax.com. They'll give you the real history on any used car. Visit CARFAX.com or ask your dealer for a Carfax report. Don't buy a used car without Carfax.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. On the line with us now is Bobby Elks, trainer for IDQ, makers of the AC Pro brand. Bobby, welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Thank you. It's great to be here. Thanks for having us again.
Well, it's my pleasure. You know, and let's just get right into it. In an AC system, when it isn't cooling properly, how can our car clinic listeners and viewers tell if it's a mechanical problem or it's simply low on refrigerant?
Well, this is actually a two-part answer. So first and foremost, you got to see if your compressor is working or not. If the compressor is not working, there's no point to move forward. Okay? The second part of this is you got to ask yourself how long it took for the system to start blowing warm air. And the answer you're looking for here to see if it's a mechanical or a refrigerant level is a gradual effect. So if it happened in a matter of a couple of weeks, possibly a month or a season, or if you just notice, hey, maybe my AC wasn't blowing as cold as it was last year, that's a refrigerant issue. However, if it happens in like a matter of days, hours, or minutes, something's broken. So that's a mechanical issue, and refrigerant will not fix it at that point.
Okay, shifting gears, how does the AC Pro kit actually fix low or leaking systems? And I assume that people charge the system with the engine running?
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the misconceptions, because when people go underneath the hood of the car, they're always programmed to turn the car off. like you would when you change your oil or a belt or something like that. However, when you are recharging the AC system, you need to have the car running first and foremost. The AC needs to be set to max cool with the fan speed on its highest setting. And then again, you got to make sure the compressor is running. So make sure all of those three are on. So what AC Pro does is when you start recharging with AC Pro, there is a rubber reconditioner in there that will actually go ahead and coat the O-rings with the oil that was lost. So it will rehydrate those O-rings. They got dried out. It's just like putting lotion on your hands. That's what we're doing to the rubber components inside that system, so that if any of the O-rings got dried out, we bring those back to life. That's how it will fix a leaking rubber component inside of that system.
We're talking with Bobby Elks, trainer for IDQ, makers of AC Pro brands. And Bobby, I know that many of our Car Clinic listeners and viewers have this question perhaps in their mind: can a vehicle's AC system be overcharged?
Absolutely. And if you're overcharged, what you're going to notice is you're going to notice warm air coming out of the vents, just like you would if your system was undercharged.
That brings up yet another question then. At what point in time, I know there's a gauge on the AC Pro, so let's say that we have a system that holds 1.5 pounds of refrigerant and we're 0.8 pounds, so that the edge is gone. You know, that in other words, the car cools if you drive it off out of the garage in the morning, but if you let a hot soak and you go out for lunch, it never cools the car down. That's a typical problem that I've seen with low refrigerant. But walk us through the gauge and how we can tell when enough is enough.
Okay, so when enough is what on the inside of the gauge we have temperatures on there. So what you want to do is you always need to know what the temperature is outside. So there's going to be temperature settings on the inside of the gauge. You want to rotate that dial until the temperature lines up with the arrow that we have on the gauge, and from there you're going to get like a little pie-shaped chart. You want to proceed to charge the car until that needle falls somewhere in that little pie-shaped chart that I was just talking about, and that's your sweet spot. That's where your car will get the coldest air possible, and you're charged up to pressure from there.
Got it.
You're good to go.
That's an ingenious, very simple, but yet very sophisticated, what has to do with the pressures of the system. Let's shift gears again. Let's say that we used a portion of a can, but we didn't use the entire contents. Can the remainder be used on another vehicle? I mean, is there a shelf life to what wasn't used?
Yeah, it could absolutely be used on another vehicle. If the can has been punctured and you use only half the can, regardless if it's been punctured or not, you have to keep it in a cool and dry place. All right? However, if it has been punctured, keep the gauge tightly attached and leave it in a cool, dry place. There is no shelf life on the product. Don't store it in your trunks. Don't store it in the back seats. Keep it somewhere cool and dry, and there's no shelf life.
Bobby Elks, trainer for IDQ, makers of AC Pro cold brands. Bobby, give us a website where our Car Clinic listeners and viewers can find more information about AC Pro, and also the second of two-part question here. First, website. Second, vendors and stores across the nation.
Yeah, it's available at O'Reilly. It's available at AutoZone, Advance Auto, Napa, CarQuest, Pep Boys, Walmart. I mean, it's available at all the major brands out there.
Got it. And a website?
Yeah, our website is acprocold.com. Again, that's acprocold.com. And then we also have a technical support line if customers would like to call in. The number is 888-318-5454.
Got it. Folks, that's 888-318-5454 for service or just for questions. Bobby Elks, trainer for IDQ, the makers of AC Pro brands. Bobby, thanks again for joining us. Great information, and it's a great product. I've used it on my car.
Thank you very much for having us. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, that's cool. It really is. And you heard Bobby talking about the gauge. And when I used it on my car, I was a little, confused. And it was me. It wasn't the product. I was confused as to where because you can rotate the gauge. So if you can rotate the gauge, well, you can put it where you want it. Well, yeah, that's right. But you're supposed to know, and it's easy enough to know what the ambient temperature is. And I think at the time that I charged my AC, I was in the shop, and it wasn't really bad. It was only 85 degrees. That's right, because it's normally
yeah, that's not that bad.
Well, 85 is not that bad. I mean,
for us,
let me
but
no,
you
let me
live in
tell
New
you.
York
Let me
or
tell
something,
you. But you're right, Tony. But sometimes it's 102 degrees. But and folks, just I'll remind you, your technicians that work under the hoods of automobiles when a shop. I mean, shops are not air conditioned. At least not all shops. Our shop's not air conditioned. 15,000 feet, 15,000 square feet, and I'd hate to see what the electric bill would be to air condition the shop. Love to have it. But
you'd have to close the bay doors and.
Yeah, you'd have to hermetically seal, with exhaust, on all those sorts of things, and I'm sure our New York listeners have all the shops up there. I do know this with regard to the northern climates and northern states. Every front end alignment shop, rack, has a torch, because they don't loosen bolts on front ends. They just take the torch and whack them off, because there's no way that you can loosen a rusted bolt. It would take more time trying to save a nut and bolt or a tie rod end than what a new one would cost in labor. So very interesting. But the bottom line, I said I was confused on the AC Pro, but only because I didn't know where to put that. And there's a little V. It reminds me of an old emblem of a V6 Chevrolet or V8 emblem. There's a V, and in the middle of that V, there's an arrow. And so if the temperature is 85 degrees, you put the arrow that's in the middle of the V, just like if you hold your fingers up and make a V, you put the arrow there. And then somewhere in between the V is where the needle will come up. And that's when the pressure comes to the point, the sweet spot, as you heard Bobby say. So anyway, it is a great product, and it's used by to do it yourselfer. It's certainly you use it, but it's also used by yours truly. And when you've got an automobile that is a little bit low, and mine was, because it sits a lot, and it's the Viper, and just don't drive it. We'll take a call, 888-227-2546. It's your turn to get in now, and I'll turn the phones and open the phone banks up to our listeners across the nation and our viewers that watch Bobby live. Iona from New York, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you join us.
Hi, Bobby. I just would like your thoughts on taking a car from New York State to Phoenix, Arizona, and how that car will. I'm getting different opinions as to how long it will last, and it will break down faster because it's not used to the hot climate. It's a 2005 Buick LeSabre, and it has just 73,000 miles on it.
Iona, that's a great question. There's not a lot of difference. There's a lot of difference in temperature between New York and Arizona, no question. But under the hood of that car, the engine, even in New York, once it rises to the operating temperature, the engine is set to run at 210 degrees. How hot will that engine run in Arizona? 212, 213, because the radiator is going to maintain the engine temp. So from a standpoint of operating temperature, just like your body maintains 98.6 or 96, whatever the body temp is.
Yes.
What is the? Do you know what the body temp is, Iona?
98. Yeah, 98.6.
Yeah, 98.6. I think it is, yes. And I thought it was. And so just as your body regulates the temp, so will your car regulate its temp. Now, having said that, there are some to-dos before you drive off. And if you've got a pen, just write this down. You want to take your car in. Do you have a service provider or dealer or independent shop that you frequent, that you trust there in New York?
Yes, I have an independent shop, yes.
Okay, here's what you want to ask that shop to do for you. And the shop, if you know these guys, they're going to say, well, Iona, you already own this car. But here's the mindset. And this will do more for you than any road trip check they could possibly do. You want to take your car in to your independent or dealership, but in your case, you have an independent shop, and ask them to perform a pre-purchase vehicle inspection on your car. And here's why. A road trip checks the tires and the hood and the hoses and the belts. But that's about all it checks. I mean, it's like kick the tires and change the oil and filter. But a pre-purchase vehicle inspection changes the mindset of the technician who's looking at your automobile, and that technician immediately says, I need to know everything about this car because this owner knows nothing about this car, and he or she is about to spend money. And we've saved a lot of people a lot of money, made a few dealers, we've upset a few dealers, but the bottom line, if a car is in good shape, a pre-purchase vehicle inspection will pinpoint little minor leaks, will show you if the belt's bad, and also gives the technician enough time to really go over the car. So go to your shop, tell them you're going to have you're thinking about buying this car, and you want a pre-purchase vehicle inspection, and let them give you a prioritized report on the current condition and what that car needs to make it roadworthy. I'll be back.
Fortune 500 companies choose Royal Purple lubricants to protect and improve the performance of their multi-million-dollar equipment. The same high-performance technology is also available for your car, truck, motorcycle, boat, or ATV. Royal Purple enhances performance and provides superior protection for anything wrapped in metal. Royal Purple is the performance oil that outperforms. For independent tests and endorsements that document Royal Purple benefits, go to royalpurple.com. That's royalpurple.com.
I'm Bobby Likis with today's Drive Smarter tip, brought to you by Escort, the world's best radar and laser detectors. When I say horsepower, you think giddy up and go, right? But it takes twice as much horsepower to bring the vehicle to a stop. Make sure your car's horses have the power to whoa as well as to go. Have your brakes checked regularly by an automotive professional. This Drive Smarter tip is brought to you by Escort's Passport Max, the first and only all-digital detector with HD radar performance. Don't just drive, drive smarter. Escort.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Another great place to use Visa.
They giggle and jiggle, they jump and they sing, they poke and they play with most wondrous things. And that's just the parents. At Creative Kid Stuff in Minneapolis, you'll find the most enchanting toys and games for kids of all ages. But if you want to bring home their innovative playthings, you better bring your Visa card. Because at Creative Kid Stuff, you can let your child's imagination run wild, but you can't use American Express. Visa, it's everywhere you want to be.
There are over 358 million trillion gallons of water on Earth. But not all water is created equal. Only 1/1000% is filtered naturally beneath the Earth, with a distinct balance of minerals, and emerges crisp and refreshing enough to be called Zephyr Hills. Zephyr Hills 100% natural spring water, born better.
You, my friend, have connections in the government. Yes, you. USA.gov, the official source for government information on thousands of topics. Like any good connection, there's no telling where it can take you. Why, one day you're getting student loan information. Next thing you know, you need job hunting tips. Today's road construction info could have you searching for telecommuting ideas tomorrow. The more you use USA.gov, the more uses you'll find for it. Passport applications, for example. They've been known to lead to a sudden interest in travel advisories. Our new mobile apps will even update you on the go. So whether you have information to get or ideas to give your government, check out USA.gov. Who knows? Lottery results today could lead to retirement planning tomorrow. USA.gov. With the right connections, there's no telling where you can go.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Hey, I want to thank you for tuning in to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and participating in the broadcast. It's fun for me, and it's a privilege to share with you information. And if you just tuned in, we had a nice lady from New York, Iona, that is going to Arizona, and she has a Buick. It has less than 80,000 miles, so it doesn't have a lot of miles in today's terms. But, you know, the car is going from a cold climate to a hot climate, so what's the car going to experience? And she was concerned as to what she should have inspected. And I thought about, well, how best to answer that question. And let me give you the number. So if you have a question, Jan will take your call at 888-CAR-CLINIC. That's 888-227-2546, 227-2546. So Iona asked what should be done. And I thought about, before I answered the question, you know, what if I give her 5 different things to check, and then number 7, which is not on my list, brakes. So I decided, here's a person that's driving the car. What really how can I help her best? And that's why I decided that the answer would be a pre-purchase vehicle inspection. Granted, she already owns the car, but here's the point. And Tony and I were talking about this during the break. And Tony, you mentioned that what a great question. Well, Jan, you mentioned what a great question that was.
Right. A lot of people don't think about the climate changes, you know, coming from New York to the desert and things like that. You think about miles, but not necessarily the other stuff. Right.
And exactly. And you could hear Jan in the background. She's talking with a gentleman who's calling in at 888-CAR-CLINIC. But as Tony said, a lot of people don't think about so why did I choose a pre-purchase vehicle inspection? Because when a technician is given a job to do, and you go in and you, as a rule, don't talk to the technician, you talk to the service writer or service manager or the customer care associate, is what we like to call them, because that's what we care for our customers, and we take the ownership of the job. And so what's the job? Well, the job is check my car. I'm going on a trip. Well, really? What do you check? So, I mean, think about it, folks. Well, you make sure it has gas in it. You make sure the tires have air. You look at the belts, and if they're frayed, you say, well, it needs a belt. You squeeze a hose, but you don't know if it's going to break or not. And that's about it. And you kick the tires. So you kick the tires, and I'm not being facetious. Gas cap tight. Yeah. But I mean, those are normal things. So you hand this ticket and the keys to this customer's car to a technician. And let me tell you what the technician does. Exactly what we just said. However, let's change the scenario. Let's say that you're thinking of buying a used car, and you take it into a shop and you hand the keys and say, I'm thinking about buying this car. Now the service desk hands the keys and the work order to the technician for a pre-purchase vehicle inspection. The first thing that comes into mind was, well, here's a person that's going to buy this car. That customer knows nothing about this car. And so we as technicians like to help people. It's our nature. We like to fix things. It's our nature. And we like to think that we're really good with our hands. And as a result, when we look at an automobile with the direction that this car owner knows nothing about this car, we're going to look more closely and more deeply into the nooks and crannies and running gear of that automobile. That's what it's all about. And that's why when you ask for a road check on an automobile, you really should be asking for a pre-purchase vehicle inspection, because folks, that's where the rubber meets the road, and that's where the technician says, hey, this is really, really an opportunity to not only find things that are wrong with the car, but find things that could happen on the road tomorrow. So those are the kind of things, and that's one of the services that I'm proud that we, in our 43 years of automotive experience, we've provided for our customers. And to that end, in the last 4 of Gannett's News Best of the Bay along the Gulf Coast automotive service shops, our Car Clinic Service Pre-Repair Shop, our 15,000 feet, and our team has won the Best of the Bay for 4 consecutive years. So really, that's a testament to the team. And I can tell you, a team, whether it's Super Bowl or whether it's, as we'll find out, chasing a classic car, you may have a Wayne Carini in the court, and we have one on the court now, but I'll tell you, you got to have the people in the background that support that effort. And at this time, I do want to welcome Wayne Carini from Chasing Classic Cars to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Wayne, thanks for holding.
Hey, Bob. How are you today?
I'm just great, thank you. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. Wonderful weather here in Maine today, so couldn't be better.
You know, I watch your program, and folks, this is the host of Chasing Classic Cars on Velocity. And Wayne, first I want to say you do a great job. No stroke there. It's a fact. My question of you, and then I want to hear about the great race, because folks, the race kicked off this morning. How did you get into classic cars? Were you always in love with cars?
Yeah, my dad restored cars for a living. He was the founder of the Model A Restorers Club of America in 1951, the year I was born. So I think that it was in our family, and it certainly is in my blood, that's for sure. And working 7 days a week, as my father did, and working alongside of him, I sort of got that bug real early, and automobiles are just part of the family.
In your career, just a short overview, how many times have you found that gem that's covered in dirt and dust in a barn somewhere that Mr. Jones bought new, drove 2,500 miles or 25,000 miles, and then decided not to ever drive it again, and then he's long since passed and the family has it, and you say, this is a real find in the barn? How often does that happen?
Well, it doesn't happen often enough, unfortunately, but yet there are those finds out there. I've certainly had my share of those finds over the years, but we're always looking, always excited to follow up on a lead and hope that the car is really what you're told. A little while ago, we found a Cobra in a barn. I mean, that's a book by Tom Cotter, and you wouldn't think that they'd still be out there, but I got a call from a gentleman who said, I stopped driving my Cobra about 25 years ago, and it's still sitting in my barn, and I think it's time to sell it. And I went and looked, and sort of you have, okay, is it a real Cobra, and B, is it really a car that's been sitting that long? And sure enough, it was everything that he said, and it's quite a thrill to find something like that.
So was it one of the original 289s?
No, it was a 427. He had a 289, and that's the reason he stopped driving the 427. He liked driving the 289 a little better, so that's why it's that.
Well, that is amazing. Okay, let's shift gears, no pun intended. You're, as I understand, you're in Maine, and today is the kickoff day for the Great Race, which is will go through the 29th of this month, and the final cross line will be there at the Villages, which I will be attending in Florida. How many cars where you are?
I think there was 105 cars today started the Great Race. It's the Hemmings Motor News Great Race presented by Hagerty. And there was probably over 10,000 people here in Agunquit, Maine to see the cars off this morning. It's quite a sight to see the streets lined with people all cheering as each car takes off. Corky Coker, who's the owner of the race, Coker Tire, he started every car as they went across the start line. And it's always great. Corky's a real character in our industry and a true gentleman and a great promoter. And so it was wonderful to see all the cars take off. Now we just hope that they all make it safely to the Villages down in Florida. And it's a 9-day event. They stop in 19 different cities, and it's over 2,000 miles. So it's quite the race, that's for sure.
We're talking with Wayne Carini, host of Chasing Classic Cars, and also a participant. Are you a participant, or are you just like the Godfather there?
No, I'm actually just helping out with starting the cars off and being there when they arrive this evening down in Massachusetts, at Lowell, Massachusetts this evening, and then we'll start the cars off again tomorrow. They'll go to Bennington, Vermont, to the home of Hemmings Motor News in Bennington for lunch, and then we're off to Poughkeepsie, New York tomorrow night. And then my participation will end there. I have other things that I have to attend to. So I unfortunately, because of my filming with the TV show and my business and family obligations, I'm unable to participate fully in the race for the past 3 years. But I plan on when my TV show finally says its last goodbye, that's one of the first things I'm going to make sure I do is become a great race participant.
So, Wayne, what's the oldest, if you know, what's the oldest car that, have all the cars left the gate? And even if not, what's the oldest car that you know of that's there today?
Yeah, they all took off. They're already on their way to the lunch break. And the oldest car, I believe, is a 1915 Hudson that was on the rally this morning. We had a 35 Orban, a 36 Bentley, a 16 Studebaker, many different cars. The old General Lee Dodge Charger, a car driven by Humpy Wheeler, legendary NASCAR promoter, is driving a replica of the 53 Hudson Hornet that duplicates the Doc Hudson from the movie Cars Hornet. And it's such a great event, you know, but it really is a race, and it's very serious. It's a time, speed, endurance rally for vintage cars, and it requires precision driving to win. There's $150,000 up for grabs. So it's a serious event, but everyone has a great time and enjoys each other's company and seeing the classic cars being driven.
So Wayne, I understand that a navigator rides along with the driver. Are the navigators allowed to use GPS? I mean, I know that originally that was not the case, but have they changed the rules, and can the navigators use GPS devices today?
No, there's no GPSs allowed, but what it is you get a 20 minutes before the race begins, everyone gets the route book for the day, and it gives you the complete route. That's so that no one can go and cheat and follow the road and know exactly where they're going. But it's a very intense. I did it last year for a day with Corky's wife and one of their cars, and it's so intense because you've got a speedometer, and you're in one section you go 37 miles an hour, and you hold that speed for 4 minutes, and then you bring it up to 39 miles an hour and hold that speed for 3 minutes, and then you know, it's all things like that, and your goal is to get a perfect time, and it's what the predetermined time is to go from point A to point B, and those people that get a perfect time over a 9-day period of time are going to win. So some people have actually been after 9 days, within a minute and 20 seconds of a perfect time. That's an unbelievable feat.
It is an unbelievable. To that end, are you telling me that obviously someone has driven this course and set these times, and at the very end of the race, as I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, isn't the time from point A to B and B to C, and are there checkpoints like today's first route? Are there checkpoints along the way?
Exactly. Yeah. You go to a checkpoint, and then they time you. So then if you made up, so for instance, if you lost a little time on that, the next route you can make it up perfectly. And it all depends on your score at the end of the day, and then of course after 9 days, who's got the best score? And $150,000 up for grabs. That makes it a very serious race. But yet everyone's having a great time, and that's what the key is, and the camaraderie that goes along with it.
I can only imagine. What happens if you have a flat tire?
Well, you just have to deal with it. You change it. There's some people that have to work on their cars in the evening because maybe something went wrong during the day, and they're only running on 4 cylinders or 6 cylinders compared to 8. It all depends on what engine's in the car. So it's something that you really work at. There's teams out there, guys that travel along with the cars just in case they're broken down the side of the road. They're there to help them repair the cars. So it's a great effort, that's for sure, and a lot of fun.
Hey, I really thank you for joining us. What's the most expensive, shifting gears, on your auctions? What's the most expensive car that you've ever taken, either you owned or for one of your clients, to an auction? And so
we're having one. We just signed the deal the other day, and I can't really say because it hasn't been announced yet, but there's a very expensive Ferrari that's going to be coming to Monterey this year. We expect it to sell between $45 and $50 million. So that'll probably be the most expensive one I've ever had any dealings with. I restored this car about 25 years ago, and it's going to be a great thrill to see it go to a new home and be shown across the country and around the world.
Well, Wayne, I have one last question, and thank you so much for joining us today. I know that you've got your plate full there. Congratulations on the great race, and Jeff Strom and all of the participants and the Corky Coker. But what if someone has a classic car and they would like you to represent that car? Is that part of your business, or does the television just demand all of your time?
No, actually, we have a business where we restore cars in Portland, Connecticut, so that's F40 Restoration. And then I have a consulting business, Carini Consulting, where we'll help people put their collections together, help them sell their cars, buy cars, whatever it is to manage a collection of automobiles, even if it's one. That does not matter.
And how do we connect to you?
Through F40.com, or you can go to our, my email is waynec@F40.com.
Got it. Wayne Carini. Wayne, thanks for joining us. We're out of time. Be safe, and we'll hope to see you face-to-face one day.
Thank you so much, Bob. Take care.
Folks, that's it. That's the end of the show. Sorry, John, I won't be able to get to your call. I'll see you next week for the AC Pro giveaway. Thank you. I'm Bobby Likis, calling all technicians with 20 facts about ethanol. Americans are outspoken when it comes to choice, so why not at the pump? Opponents claim that drivers will be confused with choices like E15 and E85. This objection is confusing, as studies show that Americans do want to empower consumers to tailor fueling options to include the ethanol level best suited to their needs. I'm Bobby Likis with 20 facts about ethanol, brought to you by the Renewable Fuels Association.
Fortune 500 companies choose Royal Purple lubricants to protect and improve the performance of their multi-million-dollar equipment. The same high-performance technology is also available for your car, truck, motorcycle, boat, or ATV. Royal Purple enhances performance and provides superior protection for anything wrapped in metal. Royal Purple is the performance oil that outperforms. For independent tests and endorsements that document Royal Purple benefits, go to royalpurple.com. That's royalpurple.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Driving a cab in this town can drive you nuts. It's like hurry up and wait. Last week, I'm stuck behind a bus on Broadway when that pastrami on ride catches up with me. Ooh, heartburn big time. Guy in the back seat says, "Here, take a Zantac 75. I say, "What are you, a doctor?" And he says, "Yeah."
Zantac 75 relieves heartburn anywhere, anytime.
A real gentleman, that doctor.
Zantac 75, the heartburn relief doctors trust.
Hi, Tom Bodette from Motel 6. Baby boomers ain't babies anymore. Ties as wide as your belly are out. So are bell-bottom pants. Oh, wait, bell-bottoms are back in. Well, spending more money than you have to is still definitely out. So save money, stay at Motel 6, and get with the times. And before you go making fun of your kid's haircut, you might want to check out your old yearbook. Talk about what goes around comes around. I'm Tom Bodette from Motel 6, and we'll leave the light on for you.